fans, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks. We are back, and we've got a great one for us tonight. We are going to be talking all about the classic Doctors, and we're going to be talking about each Doctor and their definitive episodes. And we got, a great crew to talk all about it. And we're going to be chatting, what one, stood out for each Doctor. And we're going to do tonight, we're doing classic Doctors. Next episode, we're going to be doing new series Doctor Who. And so the only caveat we're putting out here now is that we are not doing the Peter Cushing Doctor. We are not doing the Fugitive Doctor. We are not doing the War Doctor. So, I think we're in good shape. What we saw on TV, because a lot of us came to Doctor Who in the classic era, and this will be a lot of fun to hear which ones people, did. And if we have enough time, we might even have time for honorable mentions. So we'll get into that in a minute, but let's say hey to our crew this month. Let's, of course, say hi to Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
How are you, sir?
I am peachy keen. And yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm talking Doctor Who, and it's all our favorite episodes. This should always be great. Awesome. So this is cool. Let's also say hey to Mary.
Hey, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
How are you, Mary? You doing okay?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. Looking forward to this episode.
That is cool. All right.
I know. I think the world is crashing and burning, so I've just gone off into hysteria land. Just in complete denial now.
Yeah, that's a safe place to be at this point.
Our favorite river in Egypt, denial. So right. It's always good to be talking about it. And of course, Melanie Dean, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. And I'm just happy to be here to talk Who with all my favorite people.
That's awesome. Yeah. And we are joined once again by one of our favorite Whovians out there. Let's welcome Alan Siler back.
Woo! Hey, everybody.
Hermit flail.
Oh, exactly. That is awesome. So how are you, Alan? Good to see you again.
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me on once again. It's always a pleasure.
For those who have never seen our show before or have seen you on our show before, you want to tell a little bit about yourself?
My name is Alan. I am a librarian, a percussionist, a longtime science fiction fan, been a Doctor Who fan for 40 some other years. I don't even know. And an author and a podcaster.
Wow. And you still have time to sleep and eat. That is pretty darn amazing.
Oh, I just sleep while I do those other things.
Okay.
I podcast in my sleep.
Trust me.
Just like
I do that too. It's called restless leg syndrome.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, folks, we're definitely going to have a fun time tonight. We definitely would love to hear from you guys. So please write us anytime at feedback@earthstationwho.com. And if you get a chance, hit the little button below if you're watching us up on YouTube and like and subscribe. We would definitely appreciate it. And that's, how our algorithms are working. We're going through right now and redoing our YouTube page, putting keywords in, putting descriptions in, so more Whovians can find us. So please get the word out. We would really appreciate it. And if you're listening to the podcast, thank you for being with us for all this time. We do appreciate you. And you know what? Give us 5 stars. We would even be more. And subscribe. That even's plus. This is all good. So we do actually have a little bit of Doctor Who news. Just came out this last week. And, I was waiting for it to happen right after we recorded tonight. But, we got lucky. The Whovian gods were looking at us. And we actually found out that here in the U.S., AMC Plus is the new home for the new series of Doctor Who. So, and this is going everywhere from the Ninth Doctor all the way to the end of the Jodie Whittaker era. So Doctor 13. So we are getting everything, and that includes the specials. I haven't heard if we're getting Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures and Class, but because I know we had it when it was on HBO, but we didn't get it. I don't know what AMC Plus is picking up, but as of June 11th,
nothing's been said about those.
No,
so I would think not.
Probably not. It would probably have it in the because it would be all over the place if they did. But June 11th is the big day, and you will be able to watch. If you stream and have AMC Plus, and actually AMC Plus is running a special right now for $29 for a year. So that's not too bad. But then they'll hit you with the big one after a year, which Mary warned me about before we started recording. So, but yeah, definitely check it out. Just go to their homepage. I think they're going to be doing the special till the end of May. So definitely check it out. And, if you don't, they also have episodes of Better Call Saul and, Breaking Bad and Interview with a Vampire too. So that's pretty cool stuff. So definitely, check it out. The only reason I know all this is I was pursuing and looking at it the other day. So it's worth it. So definitely, who's back, and for, those who don't have hard media, or I know our friend Dave up in Canada actually was, griping. It's like, what about the rest of the world? What about us? We don't know anything yet. Sorry. So
VPN is your friend.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, this announcement in my mind, and I try to see the positive in everything, although that's getting harder and harder these days. But first of all, this franchise is in a mess, and this is terrible news. This is terrible news, because what this tells me is that no major streamer is interested in Doctor Who. Not Netflix, not Amazon. Nobody's interested in Doctor Who, because AMC Plus is America only, US only. It's not a huge streaming service as far as numbers. In fact, the thing that you mentioned, Mike, about Interview with a Vampire is one of their biggest shows right now, and that's getting more traction because the first season's on Netflix. So nobody's watching AMC Plus. I think this goes in with because AMC Plus or AMC owns BBC America. So I think this goes in with that sort of programming. But as far as, if we're waiting for any sort of forward movement on the franchise, one thing has been made clear now is that the Disney era, short as it was, is still going to be locked with Disney for X number of years. And so we've got 3 right now streaming services that have Doctor Who on them. And it's just crazy. It's a mess. And nobody seems interested in New Who. Because there's been no movement, no announcements about that. So I feel like this is not great news. And if there was New Who, if someone was going to do New Who, look at all the hurdles that they have to go through to consolidate the franchise if you want a one-stop shop. It's now gotten to the point where I think BBC is just looking to get any money they can out of it. And so they're licensing it to AMC Plus, probably for pennies on the dollar. We don't know. But look, AMC Plus, if anybody's thinking, oh, well, this means that they're going to do new episodes, not necessarily. I mean, AMC Plus, unfortunately, is a very penny pinching streaming service. And, they're not afraid to sort of milk something until it's, undead, as they do with Walking Dead. But, maybe if Doctor Who has zombies, there might be something.
That's the answer.
I just, I saw the news about this and I was just like, this is not good. I mean, look, do I have to buy another streaming service? Even if it's $30, do I have to buy another streaming service just to watch all of New Who? That's terrible. I just, it doesn't, it's not a win-win for anybody here. I just don't, this is not great news as far as I'm concerned. I think this is another setback, and I don't know where this leads to a future. I don't feel good about the future of Doctor Who right now. And say what you will about RTD's new era, as far as his stories goes and everything, that's debatable. But I think what he's done is he's failed to make Doctor Who a viable franchise going forward, like he did, 20
The first time around. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
it makes sense,
ideally, it is possible that, like they did with Disney Plus, a new global distribution deal could be established for new episodes going forward. Because when that Disney Plus deal happened, we did have Modern Who on whatever platform it was on, HBO Max or whatever it was. I don't even remember. So it doesn't preclude there being a distribution deal for a new series in the future.
No, but there's
And
no.
we can have 4 streaming services.
Yeah, you can, exactly. we can like that. Just and I mean, this property, like, it's been a few years now, and I just it feels like forever, and there's been no forward movement from anybody on this franchise, and I just don't. I just am worried about it. This is almost worse than the wilderness years. Because, then there was just like, there was nothing, but you didn't think you were going to get anything. Now you're like, what is happening? and if I want Doctor Who, I have to go through all these different means to get it. It's just, it's not ideal at all.
Well, okay, but at the beginning of, if this is the beginning of a new wilderness years, then it is very like the very beginning of the first wilderness years in 1990, when everything was incredibly uncertain. And at least we do have access to Doctor Who through physical media and through, 3 different streaming platforms, but we didn't have any of that in 89 and 90 and 91.
Yeah, that
and
is true.
So it's not as bad.
No.
I mean,
I agree
I'm
with
kind of
that.
feeling like AMC Plus is better than nothing.
Is that your way of
Right.
making lemonade out of this salad?
Yeah.
That still tastes pretty sour.
But that's the
Oh,
thing,
did I
too,
forget
though.
to add sugar again? Oh, darn it.
Before,
If
before
you think
Disney,
about
but the
it,
thing
this
is,
has
before,
happened with Star Trek. This has happened with Star Wars. They've been here and gone, all over the place.
oh yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I mean, it
if you
does
go
not.
with the Star Trek
and
route,
they keep coming back, so I don't think that Doctor Who is necessarily dead.
no, I
it's
don't
not.
think
Oh,
it
I
is by
didn't
any
say it was
means.
dead. It's just a mess.
It is a mess. It is,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing
I
when
agree with you, it's a
new
mess.
series though was on HBO, and then you had the new episodes on BBC America or other platforms. So it just all depended where you were watching it, and it's for right now it's the same, but at least people who don't have access to the physical media will be able to, if they have AMC, they'll be able to see it. And so it's better than nothing.
Yes.
But it is a mess. I
mean,
agree completely.
Yes, they'll have to pay to see it. They'll have to pay, if they don't get it before the end of the month, they'll have to pay $80 a year to see it. I
More
mean,
than
that's not what I call a win.
Well, it's not going to be free.
Well, you just pay
Forever.
monthly,
Yeah.
Well,
and you don't have to get a whole year.
if
Other
you
than
buy a
YouTube.
Blu-ray box set, it's going to be at least $50. So you may as well spend 80 and have access to all of the seasons
True.
from that era.
I-
I keep trying to spin this, man.
We're spinning it and it's out of control. We're
Yeah.
trying to help save you money here on the podcast also. So, we come to you from all angles. It's really good. Speaking of that, let's take a quick break and then we'll get into our Doctor Who favorite stories. Welcome back. Now we are going to jump into classic series Doctor's definitive episodes. All right, we're going to start Doctor One, William Hartnell. And, let's start with Melanie for the first. And what was her first Doctor story?
Funny enough, it for me is the Aztecs. because it was the first one I ever watched of him, and like it instantly, I kind of got him at that point. Like from hitting the ground running, and I'm like, oh, I like this guy. He's kind of little. There was a lot more cheekiness in there, and there was a lot more camp, and I just felt it's a nice little. I don't know. It's just like my little happy place. So Aztecs for me because yeah, it's a good story and. I'm trying to keep this very short and sweet because I know we've got everybody and a lot of doctors to go. But Aztecs for me, love it.
No, I totally understand. I remember when we reviewed that one, how positive it was, and it is good because it's still the original crew, and it is just the costumes are beautiful, the scenery's wonderful, and you got to see the Doctor drink hot chocolate.
and that's a marriage proposal. So
exactly.
I love the episode.
Can't go wrong.
It was great. I thought it was awesome.
That's a great Barbara story.
Yes.
It is
Barbara's fantastic in that one. All right, Alan, what about yours?
Okay, so for all of my picks, I had to go with not necessarily my favorite, but the one that I think best represents each Doctor and each Doctor's era, but also reflects who, like, the greater character of the Doctor is. So you see, characteristics of the entire Doctor in each story. So my pick is the Romans. And the reason is it's great performances from the whole cast. And another thing is which Doctor and companion pair up each story is, because some are more iconic than others. And I think that the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Vicky is the best First Doctor team, and they're all just great in this story, especially Hartnell, because Hartnell loved doing the comedy scripts, and like a couple of other ones, this is a 4-parter. It's 3 parts, basically comedy, and then the last part gets really dark and really serious. It's a historical, which is very emblematic of the First Doctor era. They did lots of historicals. It's an excellent script with some incredible dialogue. And it's just the strongest group of companions, I think, that the First Doctor era presented. So that is my pick.
Nice. Very, very nice one. It's a good story. I remember before I even watched it, I read the Target book of it, and it was good.
Yeah, that's great also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have I've not seen that one. We haven't reviewed it on the show yet.
No, not yet. It's to come. All right, Mr. Gordon.
Yeah, kind of like Alan. I was looking at this, not necessarily picking my favorites, but picking an episode that sort of defines each Doctor. Like if I was going to introduce someone new to these Doctors, which story do I feel like best represents the Doctor in this? And I have to go with An Earthly Child, because not only does it establish Hartnell as the Doctor, but it really establishes the Doctor, period. Like, I just think, like, there's so many elements in this that, we always talk about how Doctor Who's all about change, but really the premise and everything that we love about Doctor Who is right there from the beginning. I know that when I first, it took me a long time. It was a long time as a Doctor Who fan before I actually watched the very first story. And when I did, I was amazed at how accessible it was, how reminiscent it was of New Who, and how, it really sets the bar and sets the tone for the entire series. And I kind of feel like if you're introducing people to the Doctor, period, or if you're a Doctor Who fan at all, like, start at the beginning, and it really is like, it's set right there. And yes, it goes through changes. The Doctor himself goes through changes. Even the First Doctor, Hartnell, goes through some, and he has some better performances too, later on. But as far as setting the tone and really just nailing who this character is, or the mystery behind this character, that's right there in the beginning.
And he tried to bash his companion's head in with a rock. It was awesome.
I mean, that sets the tone. I don't think we see another violent doctor until Colin tries to
Yeah.
strangle a companion.
Well, do you blame Colin for that though? No. No. All right, Mary, what do you got?
I also had the Aztecs. And the reason I have the Aztecs is because there's a defining moment that's kind of becomes a cornerstone for the whole series where Barbara is declaring her intent to alter history, and the doctor's like, oh, no, no, no.
Yes.
You can't rewrite history, not one line.
Yes.
Yep.
And that to me is just basically the tagline
Yeah,
for the
your
rest
morals.
of Doctor Who. And and you're establishing the Doctor as a catalyst for change, but not necessarily a god. I mean, he's still taking free will into consideration and the fact that people are going to make their own choices and he can't interfere with that, or else it's going to create bigger problems. And I think that's something the Doctor struggles with the entire series. And I appreciate that it is set up so early. I mean, this is only the sixth story of the first season, and we're already setting up a through line throughout, 60 odd years. And also, it's funny because people complain about the romance in Doctor Who, and there's a romantic subplot.
Oh yeah,
Right.
exactly. Right there, the first season, folks. Nah, it is. If you get a chance to see that, I think costume wise, I think this was supposed to be the second best costumes next to Marco Polo, but I know Marco Polo is not. We can't see it
We don't have
currently. So
Same
hopefully
writer, though.
someday. So it'll be interesting to see. For me, I'm going to do the Daleks. It was, this set the pace. This was their first off-world adventure. This was meeting their first aliens. This was them meeting what's to be the Doctor's greatest enemies for 65 years almost. And it was everything I could have hoped for. And it's interesting because, you see the story and you've seen bits and pieces of this whole story over the years taken from it, them going through the caves, the monsters in the caves, and it was awesome. It was just a great story. And the Daleks were just so evil in this. There was no redeeming point for these creatures. And it was and people fell in love with it. And I think this storyline actually cemented Doctor Who, at least for this era. And, because they were like, oh, is it an educational program? Is it going to be a science fiction? Because I remember in watching Adventures in Time and Space, they were like, no bug-eyed monsters, no, for the, requirements for the show. And they come with salt and pepper shakers, basically. It was pretty awesome. And the Daleks, it became a classic right away. And I could see why. And, these were one of the monsters that, I've heard people who watched it live were like, I was so scared of them, I was hiding behind the couch, type thing. And I could see the scene where the first time they're introduced and you see Barbara's reaction to seeing them, because you're seeing it from the Dalek point of view, is just amazing. And Hartnell is, already being manipulative. He was doing it in the first story, what Mike was talking about in Unearthly Child, but even more so in this, he wanted to explore the planet. So he basically shut the TARDIS down. And, it was, basically the Daleks were just on this planet because of the Doctor. They saw there was a whole universe out there, and they then became the conquerors that they were and everything. So we have the first Doctor to thank for that.
Whoops.
Yep, exactly. So it's pretty awesome. So any honorable mentions for the first Doctor before we move on to Doctor 2?
Master Plan. I have always loved Dalek Master Plan, and now that we've got another new episode that's recently been found, that just adds to how fantastic that whole story is. And the Savages. from season 3. I think Savages is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Aztecs is also on my list, but it's been mentioned twice. So
Yes.
Savages is my other honorable.
Okay. Anybody else?
Kind of like the gunfighters too.
Thank you. I love the
Like-
gunfighters.
Actually, I like the gunfighter. I'm sorry.
sorry.
I love it.
But
so
again,
much.
please note that going forward, everything is based on Melanie's revisionist history when it comes to scoring, and this is also meaning a heavily edited version, as we will see in my next one.
Okay. That's what worries me.
Oh, I like gunfighters. I like
Okay.
gunfighters.
I had two honorable mentions. For me, I had the meddling monk as one. Wonderful, and that was the first villain other than the Daleks to make a second appearance in Doctor Who, because he did come back, and it was
in Dalek's master plan.
Dalek's master
another
plan,
vote for
exactly.
master plan.
But then I just loved his character, and finding out that they were supposed to be bringing him back for the 12th Doctor era, and played by Matt Berry, would have been amazing. And so I would have been just like, oh, that would have been great. But then also the 10th planet introduced the Cybermen, and it also, created the regeneration, because Doctor Who, and that is a mainstay now. So it's pretty awesome. All right, let's jump on to the second Doctor now, and we'll start with Mary this time.
Oh, my second Doctor one is Tomb of the Cybermen, which is actually my favorite episode of the second Doctor's era, not just to me his definitive episode, but what makes it definitive for me is when he's talking with Victoria. There's a scene between him and Victoria where he says, he tells her, I have no family. And he establishes that he's kind of this, the second Doctor especially is kind of he's known as the cosmic hobo. He's kind of he, on the surface, he kind of seems like he's bumbling around when there's so much more going underneath. And this really establishes that. And I think what his definitive line is, there's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes. And I think that just encapsulates the whole second Doctor's era. Also, we get to see the Cybermets for the first time, which is fun, even though they're lame. And there's a great cliffhanger where the Cybermen are coming out of the tombs. And that, to me, is a really establishing through line for Doctor Who, because it's so much of what I remember about past episodes of both classic and new is these amazing cliffhangers. They were really good at that.
No,
so that's what it is for me.
Great storyline. It is a great storyline. That was actually, for a while, that was my first choice. So good choice. Good pick, Mary. All right, Melanie.
As I mentioned previously about maybe tightening it up a little bit, but I really like war games. All 10 episodes.
10.
It's like I'll be honest, as many times I've watched this and I might have dozed off or what have you, because a lot of these just tend to run long. But there's parts in every one of the series that I really, 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 really like. So I know a lot of my things are going to have this asterisk of, but don't you rate this low because it's so long? Yeah, but again,
right.
It's got peak Jamie, peak Zoe. I even liked watching it in color when they colorized the damn thing. But there's parts again, so yeah, I'm terrible, but I liked war games. All of it.
Okay. Awesome. No, it's wonderful. It's one of my favorites. And I like, how they, with the new version of it, the remastered version, how they hinted that the master was involved and everything, trying to
Alan's like,
no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
No, they did. And
yeah. Oh, I know they did. You just didn't like it. All right, Alan, what do you got?
I loved the war games in color, but not that part of it.
Okay.
And
Anyway.
that's from like
That-
Trinket. Yeah.
What do you got?
Okay, so me? Okay. My pick is another long one. And for all of mine, I tried to stick to 4 parts, or in one case, less. But mine is The Invasion. And it is an 8-parter, but again, it represents the best TARDIS team from this era, and that is the Second Doctor with Jamie and Zoe. It's a really good Cyberman story, and the Troughton era is kind of thought of as a great era for like monsters, and the Cybermen were the big threat, like the Daleks were in the first Doctor era. So this is a pretty iconic Cyberman story. It also introduces Unit. It has incredible performances from Patrick Troughton, and it's this great suspense story. Like, you don't even know that the Cybermen are in the story until the cliffhanger of part 4. But everything builds up with this like subterfuge and all this like intrigue, and it just ramps up, and you know there's something going on. Of course, back in those days, you didn't have titles like, you know, Attack of the Cybermen Part 1. You didn't know how long things were going to be. Every episode was its own, was its own title, and you had no idea if this story is going to be 1 part or 10 parts or 55 parts or whatever. So it keeps building the suspense and the tension throughout these 8 episodes. And man, it is so good. So good.
No, it's one of my favorites. And actually, I might as well jump in with mine because it was the same episode, The Invasion.
Oh, there you go.
And because it was interesting, because I was thinking the War Games, I was thinking Tomb of the Cybermen, and I was even looking at, Enemy of the Deep. I was going through, because I just love the Patrick Troughton era, and Jamie is my favorite companion of Doctor Who, period. And Frasier was just wonderful. He put up with so much that Patrick was doing, and being accepting a guy from the 18th century, literally seeing flying cars, seeing monsters, seeing all these things. And I agree with what Alan said. This is the best TARDIS team for The Invasion. The Doctor, Zoe, and Jamie were just amazing. Jamie was always the hero, charging in, not going, Doctor, what is it? He just accepted whatever the Doctor said. Oh, they're Yeti. Oh, they're Cybermen. Oh, they're, all these things. And it was just pretty awesome. And Zoe was just wonderful. She was in some ways as smart as the Doctor was, and she knew it, but she didn't rub it in anyone's face. And having, the Cybermen coming out of the sewers was just so frippin' cool. And, like Alan said, you not knowing, if you didn't read the synopsis, you did not know that the Cybermen were going to be in this story until the end of the 4th episode. And it was just wonderful. And then having, the Brigadier this is his 2nd appearance, but you also got Benton, and this was the groundwork for the 3rd Doctor era, folks. This is, you could have easily put Pertwee into this one. And it was awesome. And I just loved every second of it. It was pretty cool. All right, Mikey G.
I went with Invasion.
Well, dang.
I mean, it's if I'm not mistaken, it's the first time Doctor Who goes to 8 parts. And I feel like it unlike War Games, which I'm not ragging on, so excuse me, no, I'm not ragging on it. But I feel like in some ways that there's some spinning of the wheels in that one. I don't feel that way in Invasion. I feel like, as Alan pointed out, sure, it could be tighter, but I feel like there's enough interesting things there. And, when the Daleks were seen on the streets of London, that was kind of cool and everything, but that did not instill fear in me. But when those clips of the invasion of the Cybermen in front of St. Paul's Cathedral, and in other spots, it's just there's something about them that just, and I think to your credit, Mary, that it's because it's established that they are a creepy villain, period. So we've already seen that they're creepy, but now they're on Earth, and it just the build up, the the megalomaniac, the fact that that's this electronics company that's trying to control things. I mean,
That doesn't happen today at all. Not at all.
I was going to say, like,
Right.
it's just as relevant as ever. As Mike pointed out, it's one of my favorite TARDIS teams with the second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe. And for the just the creep factor, as if the Cybermen weren't creepy enough. That bonkers Cyberman, like in the sewers, just really still creeps me out. Like I'm just like that is just an image that I will never ever probably forget. Like it's just but I feel it's so well done. It's so well done. So I picked that one as well. And yeah, so it's the first time Doctor Who goes really epic with a storyline, and I think it succeeds completely.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's go for some runners up. Anyone? Mr. Mike?
Yeah, look, it was hard to pick because season 5
So
Yeah.
good.
is
Yeah.
so
Good.
good.
Yes.
Like it starts with Tomb of Cybermen, you get Abominable Snowmen, Ice Warriors, Enemy of the World, Web of Fear, Fury
They're
from the
all
Deep.
good.
Like all of those could have been my pick.
Yeah.
All of
Totally.
those could have
Yeah,
been my
Yes.
yeah,
pick.
same here.
And
So is your honorable mention season 5?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't blame you.
My honorable
That's
mention
right.
is season
I'm
5.
right there with you.
Don't blame you a bit.
So yeah, maybe I just covered all our honorable mentions there, but man, that's as good of a season of Doctor Who as you'll ever get.
No, agreed. Any other honorable mentions?
I went with, this is an odd one. This is an odd duck, but the Crotons, mainly because it's the first Robert Holmes script, and that leads out to be very important later on. But also, I think for the second Doctor, Jamie and Zoe, it is the best dialogue. It's the best script. Maybe not the best story overall, but it is the best script that those three characters were given. Like each one of those three characters is so clearly defined and each one of them gets like their shining moment, their hero moment, and each one of them has the best dialogue that was ever written for those characters. So I love it. The aliens are kind of crap, but I love my TARDIS team in that one.
Okay. Totally understand that one. That's a great team on that. Mary, Mel, anything?
Well, Mikey G already said all of mine.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I was just gonna, I was
He
gonna do
said-
the same thing. Just start naming season 5
They name it, yeah.
episodes.
I'm hoping
Totally.
someday that we'll be able to see Highlanders. I really would want to see that.
Yeah, me too.
God, I
The
really
Highlanders.
wish. Yeah.
They-
That's one of my wishes on that. All right, let's go on to the third Doctor, Jon Pertwee. All right, let's see who will go first this time. Let's start with Mike Gordon.
I picked the demons
Oh,
for
good
my for the third Doctor story. It is I picked it because I think that this is my personal favorite of the matchups between the Doctor and the Master during this time period. And I think, Delgado did such a beautiful job as the Master, and they had this great chemistry, Pertwee and Delgado, and it really, like, and this is one of those stories that's kind of more like a Hammer horror movie plot, but yet it's the first time I can recall. Now, you guys can correct me because you know your history more than I do, but it's really the first time I think where we've got like sort of this sort of supernatural element, even though there's aliens, because there's aliens, but there's this sort of weird creepiness into it, and Unit's great in this, of course, too. But really, the bottom line is that if I had to pick my favorite Doctor versus Master stories, this would be right up there, and that's why I picked this one.
Got it. All right, let's go with Mary.
I chose Spearhead from Space, which
Oh.
is the first third Doctor story. But the reason I chose it is because he's established for me as the Doctor almost right away. He spends a lot of the first episode either unconscious or incoherent. But when he shows up, in full costume, he kind of comes out of the mist and meets Unit, or the disabled Unit convoy, and just takes charge, takes over, has immediate authority, and I'm like, yep, that's the Doctor. Absolutely. He just nails it. And it's such a defining moment for me for Pertwee. I always think about it. I mean, there's tons of great stuff to love about this episode, and a lot of firsts, like it's in color. You get, autons going around breaking shop windows. You get Liz Shaw. But also it's a defining moment because it sets kind of the tone of the Doctor working with Unit, the way the sort of inherent uncertainty and conflict where he has to work with the military. He's stranded on Earth. He's kind of forced into this, and it's a very interesting dynamic watching him deal with that and wade through with that. But he never loses his doctorishness. And it's interesting because at the time, I mean, this seems very dated to us now, but at the time, this was a much more modern Doctor than we had seen before. The way he's stranded on Earth and the way he carries himself and the way he's much more physically capable, more like an action movie figure. And I just find that fascinating. So that's why I chose it.
Also, the first time we got the Doctor in color on top of it.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome. All right, Melanie.
Yeah. I have a lot of blind spots on the third Doctor. Funny enough, if I really think about it, the same thing with the second. So there's a lot I haven't seen. But yeah, I really, what I really liked the, terror of the Autons. I really liked funny enough seeing Katie Manning, Joe Grant it's weird how for me, I've seen her or heard her more in Big Finish and all that kind of stuff, and then finally got to see early on. And I don't know, again, that I kind of just picked these because I thoroughly enjoyed them. And they kind of left a little bit of an impact with me going, oh, this is refreshing. Oh, this is different. And then realizing, where these episodes were in place. So then, like to Mary's point, you have now Pertwee being more, that action star, more brisker and more, vibrant and, more action hero-y. But yeah, and then really, this was the first time really getting to see, again, for me, was seeing Roger Delgado's Master. And I know that, this was, I think was this his first showing too? Yeah. So it was like brand new for me also. Yeah, I mean, I just really liked this episode because I look back on it fondly going, oh, this is neat, this is neat, this is neat. And then realizing after the fact, oh, crap, this was their first I didn't realize that these were the characters were being introduced also for the first time. So yeah, no, I really like this one. It was refreshing, it was new, it was different. And I thought for the first, for this being his inaugural, series, season, whatnot, he hit the ground running. And I just really, I watching this episode again, I know I've got a lot of blind spots on his, the third Doctor. I really like this one.
Cool. Very cool. Alan.
Well, my pick is, like I said earlier, I went with the best Doctor and companion pairing. And Pertwee was blessed with three very, very strong companions with Liz, Joe, and Sarah Jane. But Joe was there the longest, and Joe had this amazing character growth over her 3 seasons, and I think she is the iconic pairing with the Third Doctor. So my pick is the beginning of season 9, and that is Day of the Daleks. I hadn't picked a Dalek story before this, so I wanted to get a Dalek one in. For a show about time travel, Classic Who rarely used time as a story mechanic. And this is one of the first times that it ever does that. So there's this great time travel plot where the story takes place in 2 different time zones. It's a really strong unit story. You get Daleks, of course, and it's pretty fast-paced story. Now, the production is a little bit limited because of budget. They only had 3 Dalek props, so some of their like battle setups are a little weak. But I highly, highly, highly recommend, this may be cheating a little bit, but I highly recommend the 2008, I think it was, the special edition where they polished up the special effects and they filmed new battle scenes with people within Dalek shells. So they have a bigger Dalek force. They have more unit forces. They have more Ogrons. And it's improved. The pacing is improved. They add a little bit of new music scores and stuff. And it just ramps this story up from what I think is one of the best Pertwee stories to one of the best Doctor Who stories. So, Day of the Daleks.
Awesome. I'm going to do for mine, I'm going to do the Silurians. It was an amazing story from the first season of Doctor Who. And it's kind of creepy because the first time I watched it was during COVID. And, with the virus that they put out that was spread and taking out everyone, slowly but surely, it was so creepy. And, I had seen the Silurians at that point already in the Peter Davison era and was like, oh, okay, that's the Silurians. But these Silurians during the Pertwee era was just amazing. And I was impressed. And then the final scene where the Brigadier, literally blows them up. And the Doctor was like, because the Doctor was trying to help them and, he was guaranteeing peace between humanity and the Silurians. And it ended up, the Brigadier went behind his back and said, no, we can't have that. There's a chance they can, do worse to humanity. And he blew him up. And the look on the Doctor's face is like, oh, is this going to put a wedge between the Brigadier and the Doctor? And, it was just great. And I love Liz Shaw. She was awesome in this episode. Trying, working with the Doctor, trying to figure out the cure for the disease. And, it was great. I highly recommend this one. Any honorable mentions?
That is a good one. Green Death.
Yeah.
Evil
That's a good one.
Corporations polluting the environment.
That is so Pertwee era.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
I
very.
one of my honorable mentions was Inferno. I loved Inferno.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
nobody picked Inferno.
Yeah,
was
It was my
almost
second
did.
choice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
almost
almost
did.
did.
I came
Yeah.
really close.
And it's interesting because I kept on thinking, like with Inferno, it was like, oh, alternate universe. Instead of the bearded Spock, you actually had the Brigadier without a mustache and the eye patch.
That's right.
It's just awesome.
That's right.
And then everyone was turning into werewolves.
As you
I
did.
have a soft spot for Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
I love that story. It is great.
So I was that if I had to pick a personal favorite. I mean, I know it's padded. I mean, it shouldn't be 6 episodes, and the special effects, but still, it's dinosaurs, and it's Doctor Who and dinosaurs, and I always thought it was really fun. So I have a soft spot for that one.
You just wait till that season comes out on Blu-ray. I guarantee you there's going to be great dinosaurs in it. I just know that's what they're saving up for. They're saving their pennies. Their
I
pence.
mean, I would, that would help with things a lot.
Yeah.
They'll contact ILM and get real dinosaurs put in there.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. My top pick would have been the Sea Devils, because I think it is as close to a perfect story as you can get. The only reason I didn't pick it is because Unit is so iconic in the Third Doctor era, and the Sea Devils is a military story, but it's not Unit. Unit is not the organization that the Doctor works with in that story, and to make it emblematic of the Third Doctor era, something that definitely sums up the Third Doctor era, Unit has to be part of it for me. And so Sea Devils, even though it's my favorite Pertwee story, gets knocked down to second place only because it isn't Unit in the story. And then my other honorable mention is Carnival of Monsters, because it's bonkers and amazing.
No. Then you also, what couple other honorable mentions, of course, Planet of Spiders. Then you also had another one was, of course, The Time Warrior with the first Sarah Jane Smith, and also introduces the Sontarans, and that was always awesome. And then I'm going to put it out there. I love the Three Doctors. I had fun with it. And, it's, what they could do with Hartnell and everything in it, just having him up on the screen because he was so sick at that point. But the interaction between Pertwee and it was just awesome. And, Troughton was just, I loved it. And then, I love that the two doctors didn't like each other, because, you're running into yourself, and you're seeing parts of yourself that, oh, I'm like that. Oh, is that me? Type thing. So it's pretty cool. All right, let's get started now with Tom Baker, the Fourth Doctor. All right, I'm going to go with Alan first on this one.
This was hard. A, it's the longest era in the history of the series. B, there are so many classic stories. So I had like 15 number one picks, and I had to narrow them down. So I went with a kind of a different one, and I went with Seeds of Doom, because it's a six-parter, but the story divides up into basically a two-parter and a four-parter. It's kind of an epic story of alien invasion that is told across two different continents. It's got that iconic pairing of Sarah Jane and the Fourth Doctor. And Unit, even though the Brigadier's not there, Unit is involved. And it's got a really, really interesting alien that we haven't met before, and on TV at least has never reappeared. But it was an interesting play on the whole, like, Day of the Triffids kind of monster movies of yore. And some of the special effects in it are phenomenal. That last, like in the big battle between the military and the overgrown crinoid monster, where it's like basically trying to eat this manor house, and they're like shooting things at it like it's King Kong on the Empire State Building or whatever. Those model shots of that monster are so good for 1970, whatever it is, 5 or 6 or whatever. Unbelievable. So that whole story, and plus Sarah Jane is just a flippin' icon in that story. So that's my pick.
Awesome. All right, Melanie.
How dare you make me pick one episode?
I know.
For the Doctor?
It is very hard.
I mean, this was so hard, because honestly, it's like my favorite Team TARDIS ever is the Fourth Doctor, Sarah Jane, and Harry. And I mean, I absolutely adore them. But Harry wasn't in there long for me. Yeah. So I was like, okay, where am I going to go with this? Because to Alan's point, there's so much to choose from. Okay, so that being said, I have a little list. I have to make sure I look at it so I know which one I picked. I picked City of Death because heist. I love heists. I am a fan of heists, and I'm a huge fan of Julian Glover. So I was like, it has him. So I'm like, ooh, and I love watching the Fourth Doctor and Layla Ward's Romana just interact. So yeah, I even like surprised myself that I didn't pick something with my best team ever. But yeah, I and they shot this in Paris, so that was kind of a
It was beautiful.
They have other places that aren't just in that quarry or that one studio that they like to use. This is crazy. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's got some of the most like the lines in it are so like zingy. Like I wrote it down. Where did I write it? Oh yeah, it's just you're a beautiful woman, probably. What?
Yeah,
that was like a spit take for me.
and Duggan asked Romana, "You know what I don't understand?" And she says, "Probably so."
I mean, they were just
It is the best dialogue ever written in Doctor Who.
And you
ever.
know, so yeah, and I mean, it was yeah. So I know that Douglas Adams had a huge part, writing this one. Because I don't think he got the full credit on that one. I don't think. I think he did most of it, and then someone polished. I thought.
Well, he and the producer wrote it together, but they weren't allowed to use their names on the script. So on screen, it's a different name.
Right. Okay. So because I was trying to figure out why this was just such a tightly and just I love the hell out of this one. So yeah, Steve Daleks.
And like Day of the Daleks, one of my picks, it is a great timey-wimey story.
Mm-hmm.
It is so clever the way it's written.
Oh, very much so. And you have plenty of Mona Lisas out there now. So
you're right.
That is awesome. And then you also had John Cleese in it. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, this was like, it took me a while to figure out which one I really liked, and I'm like just sitting there on Tubi going through and like giving myself a refresher. I had to do that for all these episodes, but that one I went, wait a minute, oh no, I like this one. Oh, and as you can see, I'm getting louder and more vibrant on this one. So yes, shutting up.
That is cool. All right, Mike G.
This was tough. There's so many. I don't think you can have a wrong pick in this one. I think everybody's choices, if they're not my pick, are going to be honorable mentions for sure. And I agree with every choice, but I have to go with Pyramids of Mars. Pyramids of Mars is, to me, as good as it gets. You've got the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith. You've got this sort of hammer horror, gothic mummy-esque thing going on. You've got this powerful alien creature in Sutek, which is a formidable villain for the Doctor. One of the best cliffhangers ever. What's that?
Until RTD ruins him.
No, we're not. No. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. And one of the best cliffhangers ever. The mummy robots are really badass, cool. Like everything just hits on this. Sarah Jane packing heat. Like there's just so many. Like it's just like this is so like it's got that wonderful like shot of the Doctor and Sarah Jane turning around the corner, seeing the robot, and then going right back around the corner. Like nope. Like it's just. It nails it. There's not a wasted shot in this. It's solid, all four parts, and it seems like I know this one is a popular choice for like the best ever, but I have to concede that they're not wrong because this one is so good.
Nope, agreed.
Iconic.
That episode almost felt like it was almost in some ways like a reboot, and for the series, it felt like it was more cinematography wise and just more dramatic, and
I felt like it was a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
exactly.
cinematic
Exactly.
feel.
Yeah, when you watch
Yeah.
like if they made like if the '70s, if they said, you know what, we're gonna make a Doctor Who movie, right, just at the middle of the season or whatever, and put this in the theaters, I would go and watch this in the theater.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I'd
Even,
go watch it right
having
now.
Tom in the TARDIS, and you see him, but he's looking down and he's wearing the big floppy hat and he looks up and it's just amazing. It's just everything about this is great. And so I could definitely see why. All right, Mary.
I also chose Pyramid of Mars. But I mean, the thing is, I just adore Gothic horror Doctor Who. It's like the best era. I love Philip Hinchcliffe. I love the Hammer horror movie feel. It's so much fun. They do it so well. Tom Baker is perfect in it. And but one scene we haven't talked about that I really loved was when he takes Sarah Jane to 1980 so she can to show her what happens if
Mm-hmm.
Sutek wins. And to me, that was a very defining moment because it really brought it home. I mean, the stakes have been very abstract for Sarah Jane up until that point. But when she sees the apocalypse, when her own world is disintegrating, then it becomes very real for her and very real for us too. And I think they do it so well. And also the way Tom Baker shifts from being his charming self to just being alien with a very alien perspective. Um, it's brilliant. It's so brilliant. I love this episode so much. And my favorite line is when the fourth doctor is talking to Professor Scarman and he says, "You are a classic example of the inverse ratio between the size of the mouth and the size of the brain." And I'm like,
Love
yep,
that line.
that still pertains today.
Very, very much so. The only thing with that one I always got were the mummies who were like, it was like Judy was watching it the last time I was watching it with, and she was like, those mummies, they're kind of busty, aren't they? And so it's like, I think they're supposed to be male. And it's like,
It was
so
directed by Russ Meyer.
exactly. My pick, there's, like you said, there's so many we could have picked from. And I'm actually going to go for the Talons of Wai Chang. And that was my very first episode of Doctor Who I had ever seen. And to this day, it always puts a smile on my face. It is cheesy. It is Tom at his best. And it's such a racist episode, but it's so good. And there's so many issues with it. And it has Deep Roy in it. It has Leela in a dress, and it has Django and Lightfoot, and it's so good. And giant rats, in the sewers, and it's just Magnus Creel was an awesome villain. It was great. And when I was a little kid, there was a guy with a long scarf, and there was ninjas, and there was midgets, and there was giant rats and women throwing knives. It was just so cool. And to this day, it's what got me hooked on Doctor Who. So it always has a special place in my heart. So
How old were you when you first watched it?
Pardon
Do
me?
you remember? How old were you when you first
I was
saw it?
probably 7 or 8 at the time.
Oh yeah, that's perfect age.
Exactly. And so it was just like,
Yeah.
and after that, I didn't see Doctor Who probably for like 2 or 3 years, but it was so worth it to, when I found it again and watched it, and it was like nothing I had ever seen at the time. And so it was pretty cool. All right. Honorable mentions, kids. This could take a while.
Oh my God.
All the ones that I had on my list got named already.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty almost all the ones. Maybe Curse of Fang Rock. I mean, Horror of Fang Rock.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a good one.
Or
I was also Loch Ness Monster. It was great.
For me, Terror of the Zygons.
Yes,
That's a,
Terra Zygons
that's a
is
good one. Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, that's a classic.
Zygons is solid.
Yep.
Zygons are
That was almost
excellent.
that was
Amazing.
almost my choice
Genesis.
because that was the final traditional unit story for the series. So, and you also said
Yeah.
Bye to Harry.
The
on
other
that.
one I was going to say was Genesis, but
Yeah.
that's it could be Genesis to me. It could be Ark in Space. It could be Sontaran Experiment.
Ark
It
in
could be
Space.
Terra Zygons.
Yeah.
It could be
the Cybermen, you know. So,
So
yeah.
many.
Basically, Tom's first 3 seasons. And if you want to go silly, I would even pick anything from the Key to Time season.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
lots to choose from.
Very much so. That is awesome. All right. Let's hop over to Peter Davison, the Fifth Doctor. Whew. Still
we're
got 3 more
halfway
doctors, kids.
done.
What's that?
So we're halfway there.
Yeah, I know.
We got to pick
Moving
this up,
right
y'all.
along.
We got to speed up a little
Just
bit,
like,
kids.
is this
Maybe
gonna be a
this needs to
two-parter?
be a 3-part.
I think this might have to be a 3-parter.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. Fifth Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Melanie, you're first.
Oh, that's simple. Caves of Androzon. I can never say it because
Androzon.
and I picked that one because if you thought I had a blind spot when it comes to the Fifth Doctor, this is the only Fifth Doctor one I've ever watched. My father did not like the Fifth Doctor, and therefore he instilled in Tiny Mel Mel a not love of the Fifth Doctor. Sorry, Peter. Yeah, so I'm just gonna pick that one because I mean it is good. I do like it, but I'm just not a fan of it. I don't know,
Okay.
it's deep-seated thing my father put in me where just I don't. Yeah, so we're just gonna go with that and keep moving.
No, it totally makes
I'm
sense.
a terrible human.
All right. Mike G.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I'm, not as high on this run as others are. So for me, this was one of those things where I was like, I don't really know. But I ultimately settled with The Visitation.
Okay.
I think it was a fun story. I do think that the Doctor and Adric's banter is a little rough in this, but apart from that, I think it's maybe is it the only historical one that I've picked so far? And I know that I don't think like the Fifth Doctor did a lot of historical ones. So I kind of like that element of it there. And the Death Robot is just pretty cool. I think he's pretty cool. So I dig this. Peter has some good moments in it though, outside of his banter with Adric, but I like it overall, and that's the one I ended up with.
Okay. Mary.
Well, Melanie, you're not alone. I also picked Caves of Androzani. And I was thinking as I picked it, I thought, well, it really says something about my view of the Fifth Doctor that I picked his final story to be his defining episode.
I'm terrible.
I know. But it really does kind of encapsulate his Doctor because he's the way he sacrifices himself for Perry.
Yeah,
He goes through all this crap.
And I'm like, okay, I can't hate you. She's gonna
Right.
get poisoned, so okay.
Yeah, he's poisoned, and he does not hesitate when he finds the antidote, and there's only enough for one. He does not hesitate. It goes to Perry. And that
Right.
is, kind of quiet courage and self-sacrifice is the way I would say is the theme of the Fifth Doctor. Unfortunately, the writing really let him down. But that end sacrifice really gives a lot of emotional weight to what has basically been a pretty cynical, grim run of a Doctor. And Peter handles it really well, really well. It's very tragic, and it feels very tragic. He does not tip over into melodrama. It's a simple act of decency. And I think that says a lot about what the Fifth Doctor was trying to portray. And so that to me is why it's a defining episode.
Yep, totally makes
One
sense.
thing I didn't mention is that, I mean, as a fan of the Phantom of the Opera, I really liked those little tones in that too.
Mhm.
So I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Alan.
I'm bad.
All right. Well, unlike all you people, I love the Fifth Doctor, and I love the 80s era of Doctor Who. I mean, I love the 60s and the 70s too, but I love the 80s. So I went with one that comes from what I think is the kind of the ideal TARDIS team, the Fifth Doctor, Tegan and Turlough. It's a story that has a really interesting concept, a very moody setting, and it's The Awakening, and it's from their third season. And it's a two-parter, and the two-parters, we'd had a couple of those before in the 60s and the early 70s, but in the Davison era, we get a two-parter every season. So it's really built into the DNA of the Fifth Doctor era. So it's very identifiable with Davison. They haven't done really a lot of historicals in recent years. They started to get back to that in Davison's first era with Black Orchid, which is another two-parter, and The Visitation, which Mikey mentioned. But this one is kind of an interesting twist on it being a historical, because it's in modern day. It takes place in 1984, but it's set in a historical recreation. And so it's got all the period pieces of it, but it takes place in modern day. So it's an interesting spin on how you view historicals. It's got a really great villain, and I think that Davison gives a great performance in this story. And it being a two-parter, it's really fast and gets to the point and gives you a solid story without overstaying its welcome. And I feel like it's got not quite City of Death level, but it's great dialogue. It is so well written, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, awesome. It is a great story. We actually just reviewed that one not that long ago on the show. It was so. All right, for me, I'm going to do Earthshock. And for many
And
reasons.
what was the defining moment in that?
The death of Adric, of course. Yes, Adric died in that one. And, it was not a sad moment for me, but I was sad, to, see the reason he died was because, back trying to save Earth, and in the era of the dinosaurs, it ended up being that he was the asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs. So I thought that was kind of fun. But I did like it because it was a throwback also, because you didn't know this was a Cyberman story, because, it was one of those where they, Earthshock, there's, something strange going on a spaceship, blah, blah, blah. Didn't let you know that it was the Cybermen, doing it. And I loved when they came out of the containers, kind of a la Tomb of the Cybermen. And I liked what they were trying to go for. And it was the first time we actually had a companion die since the first Doctor's era. So it was, and it couldn't happen to a better companion. So it's, all good there. So, and I'm sure Matthew Waterhouse is a wonderful person, but I just did not like the character of Adric. So, and we've joked about it on the podcast many times. Now that the Doctor can materialize his TARDIS around somebody, and such, but, he didn't do that with Adric. Nope. Fixed point in time. You can't change that.
Saving Adric.
Exactly. There was just no saving him. And I know in Big Finish, they've brought him back multiple times. So, it's interesting to see. And, I give it, worth checking out. Any honorable mentions? Okay. That was a wave of enthusiasm.
Alan can go.
I've got three. One's a two-parter because two linked stories from Davison's first and second season, Kenda and Snake Dance, kind of form one big story, and
Mhm.
I think they're amazing.
Actually, I would give you
Enlightenment,
that. Yeah.
Enlightenment, which is incredible, and then Modern Undead, another timey-wimey story.
Oh, I loved how they brought the Brigadier back in that one. It was,
Yeah.
and you had the Brigadier from 2 different eras, which was pretty awesome.
Mhm.
There at least there were good parts in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty awesome. That one was on my list, and you know, there was some really silly stories, but I also liked the Dalek story in that era. It was really awesome, and and then that's
Yeah,
when
pretty dark.
it was very dark, and you actually had Tegan finally say, "Enough's enough. I can't do this anymore." And
You really
too much.
blame her.
No, exactly. All right, this is going to be a fun one. The Sixth Doctor era. All right, this is going to be like pulling teeth, folks. So I'll be curious
Nope.
to see.
Alan has no problem.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Alan, you're going to go first then.
Okay, sure. My pick is The Mysterious Planet, the first story from Colin's second season, which is got the overall storyline of the trial of a Time Lord. I think, well, first of all, in his first season, they leaned into this doctor's bitchiness and alienness, and there was it kind of produced a troubled relationship between he and his companion, Perry. And I think that gets repaired a great deal in this story. They have a really wonderful relationship in this. I think that people may complain about the overall trial storyline that's kind of pieced throughout this whole season. But if you take that away, the basic story of Mysterious Planet is a solid, very classic Robert Holmes story that I think you could have plopped down in any era and it would have been just as great. I think it is absolutely Colin's best performance on the series. I think he just is just elevated in this story so much. And part of that is because in the final episode, the 4 parts, there is this great moral showdown between the Sixth Doctor and a big robot about the meaning of life and the importance of morality and what it means to be human. And it is so great. It is so well written and so well acted. And all that sums up to make this my favorite. It is my favorite Colin Baker story, but I also think it's the most emblematic of his era.
Okay, got it. All right, let's go with Mary.
I chose Vengeance on Varos, which may be the only Sixth Doctor story I like, other than Big Finish. And it's the third story of his era. And by the way, this is not anything against Colin Baker. I just do not like the writing of this era. But and also to be fair, I do think this is a good solid story, but my choice may have been influenced by what's going on in the world right now.
Bingo.
But it's basically government torture and death are treated as interactive programming.
Yep.
And the citizens have become conditioned to the violence. And the Sixth Doctor reacts with just outright disgust at this normalization of cruelty. And I liked seeing his moral outrage revealed. And Colin Baker does it well because he's been very abrasive and frankly for me extremely annoying up until this point. I mean, it is only the third story. But the way he reacts kind of turns the story from standard sci-fi into social commentary. And this is an example of a story that I think may be more relevant today than it was back in 1985. I mean, it really holds its own. And so, and also it kind of defines the Sixth Doctor era as his Doctor is more about confrontation in contrast to the Fifth Doctor whose theme was more about sacrifice and kind of quiet courage. And I do actually appreciate that about the Sixth Doctor, seeing that contrast.
Oh, it's interesting because that was my pick also, because I agree completely about the politics and about, the planet, but it was also I love the character of Syl. Syl was just awesome.
Mhm.
And he made that episode, and to me it is the best episode of Colin Baker's era. And it's been years since I've seen any of the Trial of the Time Lord, because we're holding off till that's going to be our final story when we decide to quit the
Or
podcast.
sign off, yeah.
When we decide to finally
Or
sign off,
90.
and we'll all be old and gray.
Well,
oh wait,
you
never
couldn't
mind.
go out with a better story. I'll just-
Well, we'll definitely have to have Alan on when we do
I mean-
that.
I hope so, because somebody's got to stick up for this guy.
Now, and it's interesting because I've always said Colin's doctor was a disaster on TV, but I loved what they did for him on Big Finish. I think they completely redeemed him, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. Sorry, Alan, but it was his Big Finish stories are amazing. We've reviewed a few of them, and we'll be doing so again in the future. So definitely look for it. And I definitely also, if you ever get a chance to meet Colin Baker, one of the most amazing people you'll ever meet. So it's pretty awesome. All right, let's go with Mikey G.
Well, you mentioned Big Finish, and in your show notes, you said that, and we can use either Big Finish or whatnot, other stories with these doctors. So, since I, don't really care for this era as well, but I was very surprised to recently read the comic Age of Chaos, Doctor Who Age of Chaos, that Colin Baker wrote or co-wrote, which basically is a follow-up to, it takes place after Trial of the Time Lord, and some of the events of what happens in that. And even though I haven't seen that, I still was able to enjoy this story a lot. And the fact that I really appreciated his doctor in this, the way that his doctor handles situations, the way that his doctor does everything. And that's no small part because Colin's writing it. Like Colin, I love the fact that Colin, even though he's, maybe it wasn't successful, maybe there were things that happened off screen, etc., whatever. But I love the fact that he still took ownership enough and cared about this character enough to write a story with him, with that doctor. And so for the people in the video, I could show you this. And look, dinosaurs. It's got dinosaurs. So
There you go.
so that's always a plus. But no, this is to me like the best Sixth Doctor story that I have read or experienced. So that's the one I would recommend. People definitely need to check out.
Cool. That is awesome. All right, Melanie.
So to kind of jump on that bandwagon of Mike, yeah, again, I'm not the biggest Colin fan of what I have seen on television. I mean, I think I've seen like maybe 3 episodes, maybe. I love his Big Finish though. I didn't think that like Frobisher would be the greatest character ever written, and I love him playing against him. So like Maltese Penguin or was he in Holy Terror?
Yeah, he was in Holy Terror.
In Holy Terror,
Mhm.
thanks. But even I adore him in Big Finish, and not just him. Like I think was it the Juggernauts? I can't remember. I remember listening to the Juggernauts, and that had Mel in it, and Bonnie got to be a smart computer scientist, which I'm like,
Yep.
that's what she was supposed to be. So that's like one of my favorite Big Finish stories. Funny enough, is that one. But yeah, I'm just to just be a terrible human being and then move on right after this for live action TV. Let's just say Twin Dilemma, where he just chokes out Perry. Moving on.
Wow.
Don't know. I don't know. It was
Any
that moment of
honorable-
going, what am I
Any
watching?
honorable mentions?
Just all the Big Finish.
Yeah,
Oh,
He's
all the Big
so good
Finish
at Big
folks.
Finish.
good.
Yeah.
I, I would say Mark the Ronnie from his first season, I think is really, really good. It introduces the Ronnie. It has the master, the Ronnie and the master and the doctor spend the entire story being bitchy at each other, and it's hilarious.
Mm.
Ooh.
And it's a really good semi-historical. And I love Attack of the Cybermen. If you get rid of Twindalim, Attack of the Cybermen makes a really great first Sixth Doctor story.
Okay. Because I have not seen either one of those, honestly. So, all right.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go. Recommendations.
There you go. There you go. All right, let's jump into the Seventh Doctor. We're almost done, folks. We're almost there. So, all right, what do we got for the Seventh Doctor? Mike G, you got to go first.
Well, it's not a, I mean, it's another popular choice, but I can't knock, I can't go against the grain here because the one that the big standout for me, for all of the Seven Doctors run is Remembrance of the Daleks. It's my first Dalek story and my only Dalek story that I'm picking in this time, but this one is really good. The chemistry between the Seventh Doctor and Ace is just on fire. There's the iconic scenes of Ace beating a Dalek with a baseball bat. Like there's just like, is this the one where they go upstairs? Like they find that we can go upstairs, right? Like so
Yep.
they can fly or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, it's like so it adds new elements to that, and then of course it ends with a very big moment for the Doctor, almost seemingly undoing something that Tom set out in one of his Dalek stories. So like and it has all sorts of subtext about what was going on in the 60s and everything like that. I mean, every time I watch it, I sort of see something new in it. And I really appreciate it. And it's full of other great performances, the rest of the cast. And, we go back to the Coho School. So, I mean, that's not, I mean, this was part of like an anniversary thing, right? So, it's nice that they kind of do that as well. So this one is the big standout for me.
Nope. Okay. That sounds cool. It's a great story. And I love Ace with the baseball bat. That's where, you got that whole thing. It was just pretty darn awesome. All right, Mary.
I went with Curse of Fenric. And
Ooh.
this is the second to the last story. And this is not to indicate that it took me this long to warm up to the Seventh Doctor, because I actually really love the Seventh Doctor. It's to me, he had a good run, and I thought Sylvester was brilliant. So, but the defining moment in the Curse of Fenric, where the Seventh Doctor just appears to just cruelly destroy Ace's faith in him in order to defeat Fenric. I mean, he is subjecting her to like a devastating psychological attack. He's mocking her, he's belittling her intelligence, her loyalty, implying he only manipulated her for his own purposes. And it's shocking because the Seventh Doctor he usually hides his emotion behind, pretty iron control. And Ace genuinely trusts him. And so does the audience. And as it's really sets you on edge watching this, because the audience becomes very unsure whether he truly means it. And Sylvester and Sophie they just sell it. Sylvester he's just like horrifyingly cold while he's
Oh,
doing
very
this.
much so.
And Ace is just heartbroken.
Mhm.
And it elevates the story beyond adventure into tragedy and manipulation. And the Seventh Doctor is all about manipulation.
Oh, completely.
And so, yeah, that to me, it just really it encapsulates who the Doctor is at that point and what
Oh,
he is becoming. There's a scene where he's confronting Fenric, and he's saying he says he's playing an impossibly long strategic game across centuries, and that is the Seventh Doctor right there.
Nope. Very true. Very true. Now, I feel like the Doctor was manipulating Ace pretty much from the first time he met her, from all the way
Yeah, he
through.
manipulates everyone from
Well,
the first time he meets
True.
them.
True. And, Andrew Cartmel, he had his whole plan and,
his
just
master plan.
wasn't able to see it through. So we'll talk about that another time because we're running short on time, folks. All right, Melanie.
Yeah, mine was also Remembrance of the Daleks. I remember finally being able to seeing the Daleks are now, they're actually they're levitating, they're actually going to go up the damn stairs. Cool. But the episode itself, this was right after the events of or it was set right after the events of Unearthly Child. So that made me kind of go back and see it again so that I could kind of connect the dots. Because again, my classic Who isn't perfect. But no, it was, Mikey basically said everything that needs to be said. So I guess I can just shush. But no, yeah, the Ace with the baseball bat, the fact that the two of them worked really well together. I thought it was well paced. The music was really I guess lack of a better term would be aggressive. Because it was really, out there, but I kind of dug that because that's just that type of energy that was kind of being brought forward. Yeah, I really like this. For me, this is my favorite Seventh Doctor, especially with Ace.
No, understand. It's a great story. And I love how they did tie it into the very first episode of Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. And, it's like nostalgia at its best. So, all right, Alan.
Well, Remembrance was my top pick. Curse of Fenric was my second pick. So I will go with number 3, and that is Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And that was the final story.
Be my second pick.
Oh, look at that. That was the final story of the second season, which is the 25th anniversary season. And I love Doctor Who when it gets weird. And this is, you think, set on a circus. The first episode, they're coming to the circus and they meet all the weird characters, all the unusual, strange people that they're going to meet. The second and third episodes are set in the circus where they find out that you have to perform for these unseen judges. And if you fail to entertain them, you're obliterated on the spot. And then the fourth episode gets epic with these ancient gods of Ragnarok who are actually the ones that are behind the circus. And it is amazing and great special effects, really interesting characters, great model work, great robot kind of work. And it's kind of a quiet, kind of a tightly, it's an epic, but on the small scale, if that makes any sense. That's what I'm trying to say. And it is so weird and great. And Doctor Who needs to do weird more often.
No, agreed. Agreed. Sometimes it takes, an episode like this to realize how fun Doctor Who can be again. And especially in this era, which is pretty cool. All right. Mine was Dragonfire, actually. I enjoyed that.
All right.
It introduced Ace and said bye-bye to, wonderful Mel. And, I thought in the series itself, Mel was got the short stick a bit because she came on at the end of Trial of a Time Lord and, all the politics behind the firing of Colin and then coming on with Sylvester's, Seventh Doctor. I liked her, but I didn't think she was a great fit with the Seventh Doctor. But I thought Ace was just spectacular. And I'm very happy to see, that they brought Bonnie back for the new series. And I think they've done her right in the new series. And I thought it was pretty awesome. I thought how they wrote her off, falling in love with the space pirate. It was just like, yeah, no, that's just a way to, I just hated how they did that all the time on the old series. And, but as, the toy maker said, but that's all right then, so it's, it was just interesting to see. But I loved it. And, had the iconic scene of Sylvester hanging off a cliff from, with his umbrella. It's just like, and it's just a fun episode. And, I think Dorothy / Ace was my second favorite companion. And thank you, Alan, for letting me interview her. And it was our first Doctor Who interview at Timegate back then. It was pretty awesome. So, any honorable mentions?
Survival, the final story that was broadcast.
That was interesting. The story with
last
the cat people.
monologue.
Mm-hmm. What were you saying, Mary?
That last monologue while Sylvester's walking away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's just brilliant.
Nobody's picking Ghostlight?
I love Ghostlight.
Oh,
Love
my.
Ghostlight.
Ellen is the only
Why would
one
you
I
bring
have
that
ever
up,
met who
Mikey?
loves Ghostlight.
Because it's Mike Gordon's favorite episode of Doctor Who ever.
Why did we not bring Alan in for that for Ghostlight? So at least
'Cause we
some
had
of our audience would think we liked.
I enjoyed Ghostlight the
Bless you,
first
Alan,
couple
for
times I've seen it. Kirby loved that episode, if you remember.
Mhm.
He was just like over the
that's
moon
right.
with it.
I forgot Kirby loved
Bad.
that.
I felt
You know.
so bad giving my opinion about Ghostlight. How I felt that was like, why do you hate me? Why are you? That was just so. It was torture. Anyway, sorry.
Well, it happens, but yeah, it was interesting.
Segue.
Any other honorable mentions?
Happiness Patrol.
Happiness Patrol. You got
Love
a pink
Happiness Patrol.
TARDIS.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It is wacko. It is so weird.
Yes, with the swimming pools on the top. It was just like, eh.
Yeah.
Well, that was Paradise Towers. No, okay, but all interesting stuff. But you had the Candy Man, one of the weirdest villains on Doctor Who. But it was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, this should be fairly quick. The Eighth Doctor. So, I'll
Big
start.
finish for me.
What's up? Big finish.
It's going to be a big
either
finish
all
for
have
me.
the same
I
one,
think we're
or it's
all
going to
gonna
be
be-
a
most
big
of us are gonna
finish
be-
or a butt.
So yeah, I'm gonna go first on this one. And for the Eighth Doctor, I'm gonna do. I did Storm Warning. It was one of the first ones that they did early in the Big Finish era, and it also introduced Charlie Pollard as his companion and one of the longest running companions in Doctor Who history, actually. And it was a first part of a trilogy of stories trying to figure out who Charlie was. And it was a great, great story. And he, Paul does such a great doctor. He was robbed. I would have loved to seen him in a series. And I'm glad we did get the Big Finish adventures. And, bravo on it. And it's a good story too. And so, and it's a historical story on top of it. So it's pretty cool. So I definitely would recommend that. All right, Mike G.
Well, I'm going to pick the movie. I'm going to pick the Fox movie. And the reason that I'm picking it is almost the same reason that I picked when we talked about, just to bookend the whole thing, the first Doctor story, Unearthly Child, because even though it's not the best story, it sets a tone that and that I really appreciate. And when I look at the Doctor Who movie, yes, there's problems with it. There's a lot of problems with it, story-wise. But the look of it, the look of the TARDIS, the fact that they chose to continue and not just completely reboot the whole thing was, I think, a great move. So we get some continuity there. The casting of Paul McGann is untouchable, I think. His look from the clothes he wears, like his sort of neo-romantic sort of incarnation of the Doctor, I think was really intriguing. His soft-spokenness, he was not really like anybody that we'd seen before play the Doctor. And there was a depth to him that I wish we got a chance to explore. Look, I would have loved that this pilot would have been picked up and we would have gotten a TARDIS with the Eighth Doctor, Grace, and Chang. That would have been to me like a great like combination that I would have really loved to watch. So so yeah, this had some elements of it. Like there were some things in this that I think were really, really like outstanding. So much so that, Doctor Who fans, even though they don't dismiss the Eighth Doctor because his presence was so strong in this. And, there's always a yearning to see more, to hear more. That's why I think The Big Finish is so popular with him. I'm guessing it's one of the most popular of their runs, stories. I'm not sure, but I would imagine so. And just because we can't get enough of him. And yeah, so I'm going to go with the Fox movie.
Okay. All right, Mary.
I also thought about Storm Warning because that's one of my favorite Big Finishes. But I went with a book, and it's called Crooked World. And it is my favorite Doctor Who book of all time. It's just a bonkers and yet wonderful story where the Doctor lands on this world where it's a cartoon world, that certain events have happened to create this kind of isolated cartoon world. And it's a parody of mostly Warner Brothers cartoons. And I mean, you'll recognize the characters don't have the same names, but you'll recognize all the characters in it. And it's how the world is being disturbed. I mean, death and murder are introduced for the first time. Sex is introduced for the first time, and what happens into this world because of it. And I mean, the Doctor is wandering through it, not really getting what's going on. And at one point, he imagines a custard pie gun in order to rescue somebody, and it's just completely bonkers and absurd. And but a wonderful way to portray the Eighth Doctor in an entirely different universe from ours. And it's so well done. I highly recommend, if you're interested in any books, go check out Crooked World. It's so worth it.
Nice.
That is awesome.
I was not familiar with that at all. It's a new one. I gotta put that on my list.
Cool. I'll have to check that one out. Sounds awesome. All right, Alan.
Eighth Doctor novels did some crazy stuff.
They really did.
Mine, I'm coming from Big Finish because in your show notes you said that we could pick Big Finish. Had I known that I could pick something else, I would have either picked Children of the Revolution or The Flood from the Doctor Who magazine Eighth Doctor comics, because those two stories are incredible. But my pick instead is going to be Chimes of Midnight, which is written by Rob Shearman, who's the one he wrote a Colin Baker story called Jubilee, which he then turned into the episode Dalek in the Christopher Eccleston series.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And he's an amazing writer. And he sets this story in an Edwardian mansion. It's on Christmas Eve, and it's incredibly dark, and it really plays into that British tradition of Christmas horror stories. And it is really, really beautifully written and acted. And it's the Eighth Doctor and Charlie, the Eighth Doctor had a lot of really great companions in Big Finish, but Charlie is really his most iconic one. And this is such a strong story for both of them. And that's it. Chimes of Midnight.
Nice. All right, Melanie, take us home.
That is a great one. I love that one too.
For me, my Big Finish would be the Stranded series. I really liked the first one. Again, you hear a certain voice chime in, and you're like, "Ooh, we have the curator again." Maybe we're not sure. That always makes me that always tickles my fancy whenever you hear Tom Baker. But really, I really like this one because Paul got to play a little bit cabin fever neurotic at first. I mean, it was like really, and this also, I mean, not just the 4 parts in Stranded 1, also in Stranded 2 and Stranded 3, they all dovetail very beautifully into one another. I liked the companions, Liv and Helen. They were really beautifully portrayed. One being a doctor from the far future, like alien kind of thing. One that was, I think she was like from the 60s, I think, from Earth. So there's a little bit of that. Okay, I kind of know where I'm at. So you have the 2 women who work really well together, trying to fit in, in on Baker Street in London, and trying to figure out, okay, that whole little, the doctor is stranded. The TARDIS isn't working. They can't leave. And meanwhile, he's being neurotic and weird and up in the attic somewhere, or where, I can't remember where it was in this series of flats. But it was really intriguing, and he decides to play detectives for certain little things because, again, he's getting stir crazy. Very well played by the entire cast. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. But yeah, as everyone else has said, it's like, I really do truly, I'm the same thing as many other fans, where I want more. I would love to see him live. And again, my own little wishful thinking is, Billy, you can go ahead and regenerate into the 8th Doctor. We know that he refuses to wear those robes, since that's what Chibnall was showing off, with everybody else saying,
there's always one.
All the other doctors were wearing robes, but he's like, no, there's always one that's different, and he's still wearing his 8th Doctor kit. I'm like, go ahead, just yeah, you're going all weird, timey-wimey, split regenerationary anyway. We don't know where you're going. Maybe I can have a can I have some Paul McGann, please? Okay, that's enough. Go pick up Stranded on Big Finish. I really, really enjoyed that one.
That's cool. Any honorable mentions?
Wow, nobody's mentioned Night of the Doctor, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was wonderful, though.
And it's amazing.
It is amazing.
I mean,
it's awesome.
That was amazing, and yeah, and a long time coming, and what an amazing, like, the most amazing thing about it was a complete surprise out of nowhere. Like, they really shocked us with that, and that was a great surprise. Probably one of the best surprises that they've ever done.
It was wonderful, and I loved, I was watching it, getting ready for work, and it was like 6:30 in the morning, and I started screaming. I was so excited. It was just like, you called for a doctor, but it might not be the one you were expecting. And it was just like, and Judy was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" She climbed out of bed, and it was like, "It's the 8th Doctor." So it was awesome. It was awesome, folks. And thank you to Moffat for doing that. That was just amazing. And we've hit the end of the classic series, folks. We have made it. Thank you for those who stuck with us. We do appreciate
Lord, that
you.
was a marathon.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
It was.
We're gonna need at least a month to recover.
Yes,
I think so.
Right?
And so,
This is gonna be a long email, Peter.
Take a drink,
Like a 3-hour email.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha,
well,
bro.
sit back and relax. Peter has a long one on this one. It was all, interesting, and you know what? I will we'll play Peter's email next time, because we've been here a long time, folks, and
next time maybe just as long.
I don't.
Well, hopefully there won't be as much news next time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
True.
I'm hoping.
That's true.
So we'll see.
It would be nice to have good news.
It would be nice.
You
to
know
have
what, folks? Thank you guys for joining us. We do appreciate you so very much, and It's always fun talking Doctor Who. And this was special because, I love, talking about people's favorite episodes or episodes that, made the Doctor for you. And it was a lot of fun. And we definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. So please, please write us feedback at earthstationwho.com. And if you get a chance, folks, leave us feedback. We would love it. We would appreciate it. And if you get a chance, like and subscribe. 4 stars, 5 stars. Or if you didn't like us, give us 5 stars for the master. That type of thing. It would be awesome. All right. Let's thank our crew for being here tonight. Let's thank Melanie Dean. We do appreciate you as always.
Thank you
Anything
so much.
you want to promote?
Me about to go to bed.
Yay.
Starring Melanie.
It is late. We went long on this one, folks. We know.
Melee on Instagram.
Awesome. Mary, thank you, as always.
Oh, thank you. I had a great time.
Anything you want to promote?
You can find everything at maryogle.com.
Excellent. And Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you, my friend.
As always, it's my pleasure, especially for, at the top of the show, we were talking about how the franchise is just such a mess. But it was nice to talk about the history that we have with the Doctor, like this franchise, and remind ourselves why we care so much about it. Like, it's just, this was a nice sort of juxtaposition, a nice balance of all the mess that's going on with the franchise right now, that there is something really, really special about this franchise that, that will, no matter what happens in the future, we always have this.
We always had Earth Station Who. Exactly. You want to promote anything, sir?
Yeah, well, you can find me on all the, all the podcasts that I'm part of. Bat Chums, we moved to twice or once every 2 weeks instead of every week. So Drew just became a grandfather, so he's got other responsibilities. So we kind of changed our schedule there, but we're still coming out with the final season of Batman 60s episodes that we're reviewing. And you want to catch the Dragon Con report, especially the last episode, because we had a lot of fun. We actually had the sci-fi janitors themselves, Bob and Carl, appear on our show, and it was amazing. It was an amazingly fun time. It
Cool.
just made us all smile. Dream come true. So check out the newest episode of the Dragon Con report. That's available. You can watch it on YouTube. And I think it's still on the Facebook video. And of course, the audio will be released pretty soon as well.
Excellent. And Alan, thank you so much for joining us as always.
Yeah, thanks so much for letting me come on.
Oh, it was a marathon, but it was fun. You want to promote your stuff, sir?
Sure. CosmicCreative.com. KOZMIC Creative.com. Check out my 2 newest Doctor Who books, Time Flight, which is a 2-book set. The first volume is a kind of a history of Doctor Who. It hits all the highlights of the, not just the TV show, but the entire franchise. Volume 1 covers 1960 to 1989, and Volume 2 covers 1990 all the way up through the end of 2025.
Excellent. And you are, of course, have a podcast over on the ESO Network and Modern Musicology.
Modern Musicology. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
We just did a show about an auction that's coming up. We had a guy from the auction house. It's 700 iconic items from throughout rock and roll history. Like, one of the things that they have in this auction is the guitar that Johnny Cash played at his Grand Ole Opry debut.
Wow.
In 1950, 56 or whatever it was. It is an incredible collection of stuff. And it was a fascinating discussion. And our next 2 episodes are going to be covering the music of the year 1986.
Nice.
Excellent. For me, of course, there's the wonderful Tales from Hollywoodland, where we talk all things Hollywood. Our latest episode went live last week, and we were talking all about the life and times of Mel Brooks, from his early work, working with Sid Caesar, all the way to his success with Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein and all the other major films he's done. And, at 99 years old, he's still going, folks. And I think they just got done filming Spaceballs too. So it's pretty cool. So you could definitely check it out. Tales from Hollywoodland is available wherever fine podcasts are found. Until then, folks, please like and subscribe, as we like to say. But, Doctor Who is in flux right now. No pun intended. But we will be talking about it for every month until it comes back. And then we'll be back even more. Until then, on behalf of myself, Mary, Melanie, Mike Gordon, and Alan Siler, thank you for listening, watching, wherever you are. Take it easy, folks. Be safe. It's crazy out there. We love you, and we will see you soon. Alan Z. Peace, folks. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.